in this Road Safety Month of the Government of India and the Mumbai Police and the Government of Maharashtra, where India has been shown to have the maximum road deaths in the world. And I'm very happy to introduce the speakers who are all experts in their own field. Hussain Indorewala, who will speak first, is an expert on transport planning, and he will speak about how our transport planning creates situations where there might be more accidents, more deaths, more cars, more traffic, and therefore more noise. Dr. Altaf Patel is the director of medicine at Jaslok Hospital. He will speak about the effects of noise on health. And lastly, we have the person who will sum it all up for us, Harish Baijal, who was the DCP traffic when we had the first no honking day in India in 2008. And he was the person who organized it and took up noise pollution in various of his career in the police. So Hussain is assistant professor at Kamla Raheja College of Architecture, Institute of Architecture, and has done extensive work on traffic planning and transportation planning. So Hussain, over to you. I won't go on too long about it. I think you already know. Please, sir.
Okay, thanks, Sumaira, for inviting me, and hello, everybody. Just a point of clarification. I have not done traffic planning. You could say I'm a kind of a critic of transport policy of the city, and that is how, which has a role which has encouraged me to understand more about traffic planning and transport policy generally. Although I do not have any special expertise in talking about sound pollution, but I will definitely talk a little bit about transport planning in Mumbai and the direction in which it is heading, and the various the general priorities of the state and city governments, and even the national government for that matter. The recent announcement on transport policy, especially metro systems and so on. So that has a lot to do with the way in which the city's transport system is being shaped. And a large part of the consequences of traffic, whether it's noise pollution, accidents, sound pollution, and so on, are a consequence of the way in which transport is done in the city. And anybody will tell you that if you have more cars, if you have more two-wheelers, if you have more private modes of transport, you will have a host of problems that go with them. Pollution is one of them, but then there are also others, such as fuel consumption, air pollution, and so on. So basically, the general thrust of my presentation is going to be that we must be focused on improving and expanding our public transport systems, and trying to make it difficult or expensive for private owners to choose private modes of transport. And but that is not enough, because unless public transport is expanded, you can't simply make it difficult to use private transport, which is not very good practice. So I'll be showing a few slides just to have a discussion. My presentation is supposed to be really short, so I won't say very much, just a few key points. And just let me share my screen. Sumaira, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see yours.
And still, or it has gone?
No, we can still see your screen.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can make it full screen.
Yeah, it is full screen already.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the question really is, how do people in Mumbai travel? And this is a chart which kind of gives a good historical perspective, a recent historical perspective on how the city has been moving over the past 20 years or so. If you in this chart, if you see at the bottom, there is 1998, 2008, 2018, and there's a projection to 2024. traffic planners call the data in this chart is
Sorry
what.
to interrupt.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
sorry.
We can't see the chart.
You
We can
can't see
only
the chart?
see.
Oh,
Now we can only see. Yeah, now we can see the chart. Yeah.
one second, one second. So I guess I have to make it full screen first and then share the slide. One second.
Just click the present bottom on the bottom right.
Yeah,
Will make.
just
Yeah.
one second. I'll just stop sharing first. Um, all right, share screen, presenting, share. Okay, now this is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the chart. Um, yeah. So if you look at the bar in the bottom, there is 98, 2008, 2018, and 2024. So there's a little bit of a projection. We have data till 2018. Now, if you look at this, this is what traffic planners, transport planners called modal shares. I mean, it's very simply, you know, if you go from your home to your workplace, that's one trip. And if you come back from your workplace to your home, that's two trips, right? So if you count all the trips that all the people in the city make, and then you divide it up into the mode of transport that they have taken, that is what is called a modal share, right? So if you look at the overall city, the modal shares of the city in 1998, almost about 75% of the city used either suburban rail or buses. And this is a very large share, modal share for public transport. And many cities, in fact, aspire to reach this kind of modal share for public transport. In fact, it's an active policy of many cities around the world to try to reach 70 to 80% public transport trips. We already had it in 98. But if you see the trend from 98 onwards, it has actually been going the other way in a less sustainable, less energy intensive direction. So 2008, it dropped to 72.9%. And if you see 2018, it has dropped to 56%, which is extreme, very serious drop in public transport share. In 98, the city had 250,000 private four-wheelers. In 2008, it had 500,000 four-wheelers. In 2018, it has 1 million. So every 10 years, we are doubling the amount of cars on our roads. And if this continues, obviously, this is a highly counterproductive trend. And in fact, it is going to be a source of many, many more problems. One of them, obviously, the biggest one is that we are in a way relying more and more on fossil fuels, making making people depend more on fossil fuels, which leads to more pollution. And it is something that we must not be doing at this point. Incidentally, so the question is, what causes traffic jams in the city? And if there's a general perception that traffic jams are caused by buses, rickshaws, two-wheelers, and those are the main culprits when it comes to traffic problems, or traffic management problems, as it is called. But if you really look at the share of road space, what modes of transport occupy how much road space, and more importantly, just not the occupation of road space, but how many people do you move by occupying that much road space, you'll see that actually cars account for a large share of the consumption of road space, but they move very few people. On the other hand, buses, like the BEST system, has about 1.1% of the road share, but it moves a very large number of people. And I mean, at some level, it's common sense, right? Buses can carry many more people. And if the buses can move faster, obviously, it can also move people much faster. So, one of the things that we've been trying to advocate for a very long time is that the city should build more bus lanes, which again is a practice that you see in many cities around the world, where one lane of the arterial roads are dedicated for buses. Only buses can move there. buses move faster. In fact, buses move faster than cars, and buses move more people faster than cars. So, which makes perfect sense. It is less polluting, it's more efficient, it's more sustainable. But somehow, this has been something that the city has been very reluctant to try and implement. In fact, what the city is doing, and that is the next question, it has been spending a lot of money on extremely expensive car oriented transport projects. And I mean, even by the own projections of the of these projections of these projects, you will find that there is very little that justifies the enormous expense of this project, and the and simply the number of people it's going to move. So for instance, if you look at these numbers, the coastal road, the south section of the coastal road, which is a 10 kilometer long section, it is, if you take the cost per person per kilometer for 20 years, it costs the city 22 rupees to move one person on the coastal road. If you take the Bandra Versova Sea Link, it's 15.4. Bandra Worli Sea Link is around 10. Trans Harbour Link is 10 point something. Metro is 0.88. So you can see that the metro actually, because it moves so many more people, the cost to move a single person, a single trip, is much less. On the other hand, if you create a bus lane, a BRTS on the Western Express Highway, is going to cost 18 paise to move a person over 20 years. So this is the economics of transport. But if you see where is the city spending, it is mainly on these car-oriented projects, also on metros, and we're spending on metros because metros do not really affect car transport, even though the metro planners say it does. But if you look at the way metros are being planned in the city, they are on arterial roads, which means that car users don't really have an incentive to move to the metro. Um, People would prefer using the metros if they would move in the north-south direction rather than, east-west direction rather than the north-south direction, which is, except for the Metro Line 3 to some extent, and the Metro 3, which is already constructed, most are going in the north-south direction. Why should we worry about these different modes of transport? And the simple reason is that if you look at the numbers of how much fuel uh, do you consume, does each trip consume in different modes of transport? So for instance, if you take a car, how much does it cost in terms of fuel versus if you take a suburban railway, and so on. So the suburban railway costs 25 paise per passenger kilometer. That is the fuel cost, which means it translates into pollution. The city bus system is 60 paise, metro is 2 rupees, because metro also has a lot of other infrastructure, stations and air conditioning and so on. Two-wheelers is 2.66 and four-wheelers is 5.5. Again, if you look at where is the city spending at the moment, what infrastructure is being built, you'll find that all of the infrastructure is in the latter three, very little for the first two, which is actually a very, very alarming trend. So, and we have an extremely contradictory traffic planning, regime. If you look at the DPR of the Metro 3, the main argument that is being made for the construction of metro and for that enormous public expenditure on that system is that it will reduce reliance on four-wheelers. That is what the numbers are trying to argue. On the other hand, if you look at the DPR for the coastal road, it says that it is going to help move cars faster. Now, every traffic planner understands that if you build more highways, you create more cars. It is very simple. It's very intuitive if you think about it. If you have a road outside your house, you have more inducement to invest in a four-wheeler and or a two-wheeler and use that road. If you don't have that road, you will prefer to use a public transport system. Or if you have a bus lane, you would rather choose a bus lane because it's cheaper and it's quicker. Um, but we're not doing that. We are doing the other thing. And as a result, we have more vehicles on the road, more private vehicles, we have more traffic, we have more pollution, we have more noise pollution, and all the other problems that go with the poor planning, transport planning in the city. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Hussain. That was really very interesting. And I would like to link your issues of transport planning with noise pollution in particular. As you rightly said, we are building more and more roads. In fact, our transport minister in the Union Ministry, Nitin Gadkari, has said that we are going to be building 40 kilometers of road every day. We are already building 30. In a few months, we should be building 40. So we are very much going ahead with building more and more roads. At the same time, we have the maximum number of deaths in the world, 1.5 lakhs. And I would like to draw the connections between what you just said and noise pollution. Because when we use noise as a way to drive safely in the absence of other methods of safe driving, like skills in driving using traffic rules, which are implemented everywhere in the world, our roads actually become less safe, not more safe, because that noise is then not allowing the horn to be used as a safety device as it was originally meant to be. The horn is then used to push your way through traffic, to drive faster than you would otherwise drive and make the roads more dangerous. So transport planning also includes planning for safety on the roads, and we are in Road Safety Month. With that, I would invite Dr. Altaf Patel, who's the Director of Medicine at Jaslok Hospital and a cardiologist, a heart specialist, to talk to us about how honking and noise on the roads actually makes the roads less safe, not only because people are speeding dangerously, but because they're actually giving rise to road rage and other health issues, which are making the accident rate go up. So Dr. Patel, may I request you to speak, please?
I hope I'm heard, if not seen. Hello, Sumera?
Yes, you are very well.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Okay. You can turn on your camera also.
Gosh.
Or otherwise, it's fine.
As long as you can hear, I can't see how to turn on this camera. I'm not I don't want to do anything that'll log me off here. Yeah, here we are, start video. Wonderful. All right, let's see if that works, right?
Yes, very good.
Now, obviously what Hussain said is very correct, and it's inevitable as we increase road space and increase traffic, noise is going to increase. The real awareness of medical science is now being aware of what noise can do to your health. We need to define noise, and that is an unpleasantly loud sound, which is undesired. We need to measure noise, with what Sumera is doing all over the city. And as I understand, below 70 decibels is called reasonably safe. But a car horn is in the range of 107 to 109 decibels. Anywhere else in the world, a car horn is taken as a rude gesture. I think slowly over years, the Indian public will also change to realize that no one honks unless absolutely necessary. It doesn't make you go any faster. On the other hand, what about these loud rock concerts that you know of? Most of them are in the range of 85 decibels and more in the range of 115 decibels. And a lot of rock people have been affected with hearing loss, among them Peter Townsend, Eric Clapton, Ozzy Osbourne, and even the classic Beethoven could not hear at the end of his career. He had to turn around to see the people clapping for his adulation. But when we say what is the safe limits of noise, I don't think there are really any safe limits of noise. And I think the less noise we have, the better it is. But it is taken that by the WHO that if you have exposed to more than 85 decibels for 8 hours a day, it is hazardous. This might be equivalent to what we hear from truck traffic in a road in Mumbai. There were various studies done on noise and hearing and health. And in 2001, a study on American children told us that 12.5% of children between the ages of 6 and 19 have had hearing loss because of noise exposure. With noise exposure comes a lack of intellectual development and social isolation in children. And WHO also recommends that the noise, if you're working in an environment of more than 100 decibels of noise, you need to limit your work to 4 hours at the most. Noise as little as 30 decibels, that's half of what the accepted value is, affects sleep. And 20% of European population are exposed to such sounds at night that interfere with sleep. If we're talking about 20% of Europe, I think all of Mumbai must be exposed to some noise that interferes with sleep. And as you know, lack of sleep also makes your health worse. There is a link between high blood pressure and between 60 to 70 decibels of sound. Now, that itself, with the high incidence of high blood pressure, medical science needs to consider noise as a cause for all this. Other studies also tell us that above 50 decibels, there's an increased risk of heart attacks because your stress hormones increase. With the advent of ambient noise, the brain tries to accommodate to the person trying to listen with what is called a Lombard effect, which tries to make the syllables clearer to the hearer. But worse still is the reports of WHO that says that if you are exposed to noise between 15 to 60 days of conception, not mean delivery, 15 to 60 days of conception, your child is possible to have hair lip, cleft palate, because this is the time when organs are being formed. Can you imagine the effect on the unborn child with noise? Even in the Roman era, they had no carriages at night. And that was because the paving stones would make noise and they wanted to have a good night's sleep. And if this philosophy was there in Roman times, I don't see why we don't have more legislation in today's times to sort it out. As I believe, legislation is that fireworks greater than 125 decibels at 4 meters distance from their bursting point are banned. I don't ever see this happening. It always happens all the time. And privately owned systems are not allowed to have more than 5 decibels over the ambient sound, and publicly owned systems less than 10 decibels above the ambient sound. But it's high time we consider to look at noise as a health hazard. And I'm sure in decades to come, you're going to find noise listed as a cause of disease, whether it's high blood pressure, heart disease, stress, or otherwise. All we need to do is imagine an environment without noise. How many of us run away to hills, seasides, and whatever? And we say it's brilliantly peaceful. What we're defining is absence of noise. Thank you. Yes, Mara.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patel. That was really something that all of us need to keep in mind and know that this is what we're being exposed to. Neeri has said that traffic is the single most important source of consistent noise through the year, which reaches the decibel levels that you're talking about. And not only drivers, but bystanders, but even the people driving cars are exposed to this. Maybe that's what gives rise to road rage and other things. Perhaps that could be the case, maybe. Thank you, Dr. Patel. I would now like to ask Harish Baijal to speak. Harish Baijal was the police officer who was the DCP traffic at the time that we had the first no horn day in India in 2008. And he was responsible for executing and planning it and for enforcing the rule for the first time ever, along with an awareness campaign. There have been many awareness campaigns after that, but he has continued in various other posts, even when he was in Nasik and in other posts, to take this forward. So, Mr. Baijal, may I request you to tell us about why you did it, how you did it, what the rules say, and how, what we can, each of us, do to make sure that we don't expose ourselves to this noise, and maybe also a little bit on how what Hussain talked about, the planning could be a bit better.
Thanks, Sumaira, for taking this initiative and bringing us, all of us together, and at least making some noise about it. Because there's hardly any noise about it, hardly anyone is speaking about noise pollution. Everyone has taken it in their stride. Sumaira, how much time I have?
You have 15 minutes, and then we'll have 15 minutes for question answers to everyone. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All the participants, and I would like to tell them that my experience in Kosovo as a part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission in 2004-2005 was an eye-opener for me. It's a very small country, a very poor country, just liberated from Yugoslavia, and it was one of the poorest countries. I was there for about 365 days. What struck me the most was, in all those 365 days, I was on the road. But trust me, there was not one fatal accident in the entire country. Can we boast anything about it? There's no, I mean, we just cannot even think about it. There, they used to honk on only 3 occasions. I am again emphasizing this fact that it is one of the poorest of poor countries, but they are also still very enlightened than what we are. They honk only on 3 occasions. One is, when there is a wedding procession going on, there will be about 20, 30 cars in a row, and all of them will be honking horns. That is one occasion. The second one is, to usher in the new year on 31st of December. That's all. And the third one is when they want to abuse someone. If someone has driven his vehicle in a wrong way, or suddenly stopped, or violated some traffic rule, or offended someone, that is the time they honk it. How do we compare with that? That's for everyone to think. I came back in India, and then suddenly I was given this responsibility of traffic branch, and I was totally unaware about traffic kaise chalta hai. I used to go to junctions, interact with the Havaldars there, learn from them, learn from their experiences. Then one fine day in 2007, one old gentleman, about 74-year-old, he was staying at Diamond Garden in Chembur. He came and then he told me, sir, in the last 6 months, I have lost 9 kilos. So I thought that he must be having some health problem. So I asked him how. So he said, I stay in Chembur in Diamond Gardens, and right below my building, there is the hub for interstate transportation for luxury buses. That movement starts at around 6 o'clock in the evening, when the buses which are departing from Mumbai, they start arriving, and then to attract the passengers, they keep on blaring the pressure horns. This goes on till 11 o'clock in the night, when the buses that are departing from Mumbai, they blare their horns. And then after 3 o'clock in the morning, the buses that are coming into Mumbai, they start using those horns. So I have lost my sleep, and as a result, in the last 6 months, I lost 9 kilos. Coincidentally, I was sitting in front of my boss at that time, and I was trying to emphasize that this has become a big menace, and we have to take some action on this. We have to be proactive about it. But my boss was not very supportive, and he said कि यार हॉर्न अगर नहीं बजाओगे तो कैसे चल सकता है मुंबई में, कहीं भी गाड़ी चला ही नहीं सकता है ना. That was his perception. My perception, because I was exposed to United Nations, it was different. So I said, before enforcing it on the public, let me see if I can myself drive without honking. So I started doing that. I could succeed. There was hardly any meeting, for which I was late, or there was hardly any occasion where I had to sound horns. Then I thought, let me experiment this with my drivers. As a matter of habit, every time they used to sit on the vehicle, and the moment some vehicle is cutting into through the lane, or they want to overtake, their hand used to go to the steering, and they used to blare horns. I requested them, then I pleaded with them, then after that I warned them. 1 or 2 occasions I had to challan them myself, in my, just imagine, DCP traffic challaning his own driver for honking horns, in a silent zone. Even that did not work, I don't blame them, because that is the mindset, हमको यही सिखाया गया है कि अगर गाड़ी चलाना है तो हम बगैर हॉर्न के हम गाड़ी नहीं चला सकते. The last step that I did was, मैंने गाड़ी का जो हॉर्न का जो फ्यूज है वही निकाल दिया. As a matter of habit, the driver's hand, it used to go to the button, but since there was no fuse, there was no honking. 2-3 दिन ये ऐसा चलने के बाद में my driver he realized कि मुंबई में हम बगैर हॉर्न बजाए सही में गाड़ी चला सकते हैं. When I was sure about this, then I met a few like-minded people. Sumaira was godsend at that time, and then we planned for this no honking day. I had a lot of inputs, valuable inputs from Dr. Yashwantok, who is also here with us today. He's almost 86 years old and a pioneer in this movement for noise pollution. In fact, he was instrumental in many PILs, in the Supreme Court, in the High Court, and he has been successful. Even the Noise Pollution Act, is his gift to all of us. So with Sumaira, we formed a team. Then I approached SDFC. We got sponsorship from them. Mr. Deepak Parekh was very supportive in that. All over the city, we conducted the first No Honking Day. Media was with us, even if you Google the Times of India or any other newspaper of 9th of April 2008, you will find reams and reams of articles about it. And the way it was a big success. So if you remember, in 2008, we had challaned almost 16,000 vehicles on one single day for honking. And I'm reading out the figure for last year for the entire city of Mumbai. There were about 748 cases, only 748 challans were drawn for honking horn. From 1st of January 2021 till 31st of January 2021, there have been 48 challans. So that's something for us to ponder over. What is the solution? How do we drive without honking? We have forgotten the use of brakes. We feel that if the vehicle has got a horn, it means that we have the right of way and no one else has got any right or any preference over me. I should be the first one to have the right of way. Friends, you can very well drive without honking. Try it. कोशिश तो करो. Secondly, then people tell me कि अगर मेरे को vehicle अगर overtake करना है तो फिर then I have to alert him. In that case, try the use of headlamps. अगर आप headlamp से अगर blinkers अगर दोगे तो any day they are more effective than a horn. Remember that most of the vehicles, most of the drivers, they are driving with their windows up, with the ACs on, and some of the other music system blaring in the car. उनको हॉर्न सुनाई भी नहीं जाएगा, लेकिन आप जब ब्लिंकर करोगे, जब हेडलाइट अगर उसको मतलब इशारा दोगे, तो उसकी गाड़ी में 3 मिरर्स है. वन इज अ सेंट्रल मिरर एंड देयर आर 2 साइड मिरर्स. कहीं ना कहीं तो वो उसके आंखों के ऊपर रिफ्लेक्ट होता है एंड देन ही इज अलर्टेड. Silently he moves aside to the left and allows you to pass. कोशिश तो करके देखें. एनफोर्समेंट की बात मैंने आपको अभी बताई कि why do we want everything to be enforced by the government or by the police authorities? हम अपना सोचेंगे ना, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ आज इस वक्त, right from this moment, from this now 7:37 in the evening on 9th of February 2021, what I can do. So let's make a resolve and say कि I will do my bit. I will do my bit. Even if we do this, I think most of the issues that Dr. Saab has addressed, they will be taken care of. मुझे बहुत अफसोस हो रहा है ये बात बताने के लिए कि डॉक्टर साहब ने जो भी बातें बताई हुई है, my son is already suffering because of that. My son is just 22 years old and he is a victim of hearing loss, because I am staying in the other circle, which is at the cusp of the Tilak Road and the Khudadat Circle. And you can imagine, there's 24 hours, there's honking going on, 24 hours there's vehicular pollution. I had to shift him to the suburbs, to a quieter place. Anyway, that apart, another menace, which we have absolutely forgotten is the reverse horns. First of all, they are all illegal, they are not allowed. Secondly, वो रात में ऑड आवर्स में बजेगा. कोई तो भी आपकी सोसाइटी में कोई 8 बजे आएगा तो वो वैसे ही गाड़ी लगा देगा. कोई 10 बजे आएगा जिसको सुबह कल जल्दी जाना है तो फिर वो गाड़ी रिवर्स करके लगाएगा, आपकी 10 बजे नींद खराब होगी. कोई 12 बजे आएगा, उसको सुबह जल्दी जाना है तो वो अगर अपनी गाड़ी उसके पार्किंग में रिवर्स करके लगा रहे तो आपको रिवर्स हॉर्न्स को आपको यू विल हैव टू फेस दैट. So 12 o'clock in the night, you are subjected to that unnecessary reverse on, and then again in the morning, when someone wants to leave early and was not reversed his car, he will start reversing it, and again then you are disturbed. So way back in 2008, what we had done was we had given a dedicated phone number to all these Mumbaikas, and then we had placed it on our website also कि अगर आपकी सोसाइटी में अगर कोई रिवर्स ऑन अगर वाली गाड़ी है, आप उस गाड़ी का नंबर हमको दो. I will send my man to that society. You don't have to come to the police station or whatsoever. I will send my man to that society. They will verify that if that vehicle is using a reverse on, we will take penal action on that. And that way we could remove around 2000 reverse ons, by that way. And that menace was controlled, up to some extent, but they are absolutely illegal. My take on all this, Sumaira, is that we should focus more on education, as the planner, he mentioned, Hussain mentioned, that we have almost a million vehicles on road. अगर मैं मतलब पूरा ट्रैफिक पुलिस का पूरा स्ट्रेंथ भी अगर लगा दूं इसमें 3000 लोगों का, और डेली भी अगर मतलब चलान करते हैं 10-10 20-20 अगर चलान करते हैं, at the end of the month we may have around 18,000 or 20,000 challans, which is not going to serve any purpose, and this is going to be endless. If we have to challan the last driver in the 1 million group, it is going to be endless. So what is more effective is education, creating awareness about it. We should be मतलब जो रेडियो मिर्ची का जो स्लोगन है बजाते रहो, जो मतलब आवाज फाउंडेशन की तरफ से या फिर डॉक्टर ओक की तरफ से या अदर जो लाइक माइंडेड एनजीओ है इनकी तरफ से नहीं हमेशा ये बजते रहना चाहिए. I know we will be violating noise pollution rules, in some other way, but that is for the good of the society. And we always follow the decibel levels, जो limits है हम वो उसके within ही काम करेंगे. हमको बजाते रहना बहुत जरूरी है. Unless and until education is done, it's not going to help. My one suggestion is, that if we can ask the education board to insert a chapter on noise pollution in the elementary school level, maybe the 5th or 6th level children, if they are taught about the ill effects of noise pollution, and if they make an appeal to their parents, कि पापा मम्मी जो भी है गाड़ी चलाते हो तो आप हॉर्न मत बजाइए, बगैर हॉर्न बजाए भी अगर हम 5 मिनट जल्दी निकल जाएंगे क्या होगा उसमें, मतलब जो हमको मतलब है गाड़ी हमारे पास में है गियर से उसको स्पीड उसकी अगर 180 तक है तो जरूरी नहीं ना कि हम दूसरे लोगों को हम वी विल नॉट अलाउ अदर पीपल आल्सो, वी हैव टू रिस्पेक्ट देयर राइट्स आल्सो. One more thing that is noticed is, is that the silent zones need to be demarcated again. And as Sumera mentioned about my Nasik experiment, I was, quite lucky enough, in my tenure in Nasik, though I was SP Anti-Corruption Bureau, but I requested all these road transport officers, on the 4 borders, that are touching Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, So there, what they used to halt the trucks, for doing their paper checking, verification, the load and factor and all those things, So there I suggested to them that आप जब पेपर चेक कर रहे हो तो एक मैकेनिक वहाँ पे मेरा रखूंगा मैं उसको जो खाली मतलब जो ट्रक का जो बोनट निकाल के देखेगा कि इसके अंदर प्रेशर हॉर्न अगर है तो वो विल सीज दैट. लीगल था, कोई इलीगल नहीं था. इस तरीके से हमने मतलब करीब करीब 12 करोड़ रुपए के प्रेशर हॉर्न्स हमने 2010 में सीज किए थे, और थ्रू 2 public functions, they were crushed under a road roller. We can have such movements, such and what this does is, that इससे awareness काफी create हो जाता है, और pressure horns is an absolutely no. But again, the help of legal metrology department can be taken here, because if this menace and this decibel level is followed at the manufacturer level itself, I think these pressure horns will stop coming into the market. And sustained efforts are needed for this. कोई तो भी साल में 1-2 बार नींद में से उठेगा और फिर बोलेगा कि चलो आज हम ये करते हैं और हम नॉइज पोल्यूशन के बारे में हम कुछ चर्चा सत्र रखते हैं, तो इससे कोई होने वाला नहीं है. दिस इज एन ऑनगोइंग प्रोसेस. Every day we are coming with newer and newer drivers. Friends, my last posting was in Human Rights Commission in VT, and I used to stay at the other. I still stay there, and my office was in Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus. That was in Human Rights Commission. I started going there by bicycle. I stopped using the car. I used to go by bicycle. ना तो बाइसिकल के ऊपर घंटी है, ना तो कोई भोपू है, कुछ भी नहीं, आराम से मैं चले जाता था. It used to take about 50 to 55 minutes from the other to VT. One fine day, I thought, I had to go below the Muhammad Ali Road. I mean, below the JJ flyover. You can imagine my trauma. So what I did was, one fine day, I got hold of a two-wheeler. I got hold of a taxi, and then we did this experiment कि हम तीनों जो हैं तो दादर सर्कल से एक साथ निकलेंगे. We started from there at around 9 o'clock. The two-wheeler and me, both of us had to go below the JJ flyover. The taxi was given entry on the JJ flyover. We were not allowed. जो रूल ही है वो तो. और वहां जाने के बाद में जब छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज टर्मिनस के सामने वहां पे टाइमिंग लेने के लिए मैंने एक वॉलंटियर को खड़ा करा था. दोस्तों सिर्फ 5 मिनट का फर्क था. मैं साइकिल से वहां पे अगर मुझे 55 मिनट लगे तो टैक्सी को 40 मिनट लगे. दो ही हैड एक्सेस ऑन द जेजे फ्लाईओवर, माइंड यू. एंड इसमें फिर देखा है कि वो जो टैक्सी वाले ने जो है तो कम से कम 70 बार हॉर्न बजाया था वहां तक पहुंचने तक. और टू व्हीलर का तो आप पूछो ही मत, बिकॉज उसको भी बेचारे को जेजे फ्लाईओवर से के नीचे से जाना पड़ा, मोहम्मद अली रोड से जाना पड़ा, उसको नागपड़ा से जाना पड़ा, भिंडी बाजार से जाना पड़ा, बाइकला से जाना पड़ा, ये सारे इलाके से जाना पड़ा. तो इसमें मतलब और कितने सबक चाहिए और क्या क्या मतलब उन्हें बताना चाहिए हमको कि भाई हम मतलब इट इज डूएबल. तो हम कोशिशें नहीं कर रहे हैं ना, हम ये मतलब राइट ऑफ कर दिए. हमारा जो माइंड सेट है हमको बदलना बहुत जरूरी है. जो माइंड लॉक हो गया हुआ है कि नहीं ये नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल है कि भाई हाउ कैन यू ड्राइव अ व्हीकल विदाउट हॉकिंग, दैट हैज टू चेंज. Mr. Hussain, I am sorry to mention this fact that जो स्लाइड आपने बताई थी उसमें साइकिल का कहीं भी मेंशन नहीं है. मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि हो सकता है 5 साल के बाद में साइकिल कंपोनेंट उसमें एक आ जाए तो मुझे लगेगा कि सुमेरा का जो इनिशिएटिव है वो कामयाब होगा, ऐसे लगता है. थैंक यू सुमेरा.
Thank you, Mr. Baijal. That was really very inspiring, and to know that you yourself drive a bicycle as part of the Road Safety Month. Firoza and her group are doing bicycle awareness, bicycle cycling lanes, and they are doing all those things. I don't know if they've joined today, but I will certainly share your experience and your talk with them and hope that they will also join with us to take that part of it further. I would not like to say too much because I know most of your story, but I still feel inspired when I hear it. I would like others to ask the questions of all three of the speakers and to keep in mind that honking makes our roads less safe, not more safe, because it's good that we are building roads. It's good that we should have the capability of moving traffic, but there are many ways of doing it. It's not just road traffic. It's not just car traffic. There has to be all kinds of traffic, as Hussain said. So thank you very much. And I would request you to please put up your hands and ask questions. And Avinash, if you can take care of the technicalities of the questions, that will be great.
Sure.
Challenged.
Just a sec. Aditya Patel. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, thank you. So my question is with respect to these modified silencers nowadays, we are seeing a lot of nuisance, and that is also one of the contributing factor towards noise pollution. So what are your takes on those and how can we address such issues? And sorry, but I am from Pune, but enlightening facts about Mumbai. So thank you.
Please say who your question is addressed to also.
I would say if Dr. Patel can address that.
It will not come under his purview. I mean, because you're talking about modified silencers.
Sorry. I meant.
I'm sorry, Dr. Patel, no offense meant. But this is a part of enforcement and prosecution. What you can do is, you go on the website of Pune Police and send a complaint on that. And you can also write a letter to them, to the DCP Traffic in Pune. At the same time, you can also send a copy to the RTO department in Pune. They are all, the RTO is always short-staffed, but I'm sure, the Pune Traffic Police, they will be surely taking action on that, because any modification done to a vehicle has to be certified by the RTO department.
Okay, thank you.
I'm wondering if Dr. Oak has any question. I mean, I think it would be great to hear from him as someone who has been one of the earliest pioneers of the noise movement way back in the 1980s. Dr. Oak, are you there? I don't think he's here, so maybe somebody else.
Yeah, Charmin.
Yeah, hi sir. This is Sharmin Sheikh from Sabusidik Polytechnic. I'm a lecturer. Though I don't have much knowledge what is going around right now in the field, but there is one thing I wanted to know whether the sound decibels, like whatever the sound is there currently at the area, is that being reflected on the traffic signals? Like this was in my mind कि जैसे हम लोग yellow, green and red लगाते हैं. If we have a display that this much sound is currently at this point, and then there is some sensor on the car, so you cannot horn now. So if that can be implemented, is it implemented already? I just wanted to know about that.
It is not implemented, but that's a wonderful suggestion, if we, the basic purpose of installing timers, on the signals was to alert the driver to tell them, that in the next 15 or 20 seconds, the signal is going to turn green. So that they don't honk horns, But that was the purpose why the timers were put up, But this is an excellent suggestion, and this can, Sumera, you can take this up to the traffic police. I will also take it up with them. हर सिग्नल के ऊपर अगर डेसिबल मीटर हम लगा सके तो the motorist also will be able to understand कि what are they contributing to.
Right. Thank you, sir.
That's really a great suggestion. And the Mumbai Traffic Police had put out a viral video early this year where they actually did this. They put up a decibel meter and they made this short video saying that the signal will stay red longer if you honk. While it may not be practical to actually keep people waiting longer because that would make more traffic, but sending the message across, and I think decibel meters are something that they should consider long term. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Vinita.
Yes, my question is to Harish sir again. I am from Hinduja College with reference to Sangeeta ma'am. My name is Vinita Sharma. I want to ask the question that sir has mentioned that we have to uh, enter a syllabus or a chapter in elementary school. As we are youth now, my question is the youth is more into apps and software kind. Is there any mechanism in car or in vehicle that gives a alert that you have use horn for 5 to 10 times? So not only by the traffic signals, but also the user, the driver of the vehicle can get a alert that we have more from this. So your take on this, sir?
This will have to take it up with the vehicle manufacturers, and that may not be a very pleasant thing, because I'll tell you, most of the problem can be taken care of, if the manufacturers, at the manufacturing stage itself, if they start using horns, which are within the decibel levels. हॉर्न मतलब मैन्युफैक्चर ही होता है, उसका डेसिबल लेवल स्टार्टिंग से ही उसका ज़्यादा है, तो वहीं से प्रॉब्लम शुरू होती है. तो दिस विल बी लिटिल डिफिकल्ट, काउंटर भी अगर लगा दिया है मान लो गाड़ी के अंदर आपने, तो फाइनली इट इज द माइंडसेट, द ड्राइवर हैज टू थिंक, वो यही सोचेगा कि हाउ मेनी टाइम्स आई हैव हॉन्क्ड टुडे, ओके 30 टाइम्स 40 टाइम्स, हाउ डज इट मैटर? इट हैज टू कम फ्रॉम विद इन. एंड I feel that it may not be a very effective method. Dr. Saab, your take on this?
I feel enforcement and awareness go side by side. And I feel that not only that it's great to have awareness, but the police have done such fantastic work in curbing other types of traffic violations like seatbelts and drunk driving that I think both need to be done. If I may ask a question to Dr. Patel, please.
Yes, Sumera, of course.
Would you agree that if if honking and traffic as the single largest source of noise is going to affect not only bystanders but the drivers themselves, that it contributes to road rage because of adrenaline surges, mental health issues, and makes the drivers themselves drive less safely, speed more, give them that thought that they are able to be invincible. Would that be correct? Would you agree with that?
Are absolutely right. And I think in time to come, medical textbooks will have as causes of disease noise, noise pollution. Hypertension already has been known for noise pollution. And you're perfectly right. The stress of hormones, the hormones that jump into your body when someone horns you, raises your rage, gets you. Which one of us has not been subject to road rage? Think, let's introspect and see. All of us at some point of time get bothered by road rage. We need more to understand the situation of noise, calm ourselves, and educate ourselves and educate the people from their school level. Noise is a bad thing. It's horrible for your health.
Do you think the time will come when noise will also be associated with increased accidents because of road rage?
I think I would agree with you. I think that time has already come. I think, why were we saying that? But that's what road rage does. It throws people out of gear.
Are there any more questions?
Yes, plenty. Just a sec. We'll take 2-3 more, I guess.
Good evening, sir. And my name is Kaumudi Vaidya. I'm from Guru Nanak Khalsa College. The department is BAMMC, and the reference is from Pravesh Viswanathan, sir, KPVA. So my question is to Mr. Harish, sir, that what are the damages resulting from noise pollution? Like, what is the impact of noise pollution on human cardiovascular system and other internal organs?
Komidi, I am not a doctor.
I should be answering that.
Patel will be the right person to answer that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
No, thanks for considering me to be a doctor, but
the thing that it does is when you're exposed to these loud noises, you get secretion of adrenaline, noradrenaline in your body. That is horrible for you. It raises your blood pressure, disturbs your mentation, damages the internal lining of your arteries, and causes heart disease. These are the effects that we know as of today. I'm sure as we go along the road, more and more effects of noise are to be found, and it will certainly come in the textbook that noise, ambient noise, is the greatest problem for health at some point of time. I don't even know what other diseases will be caused by it. Yes.
Sumaira, I wanted to share my experience with Nasik police, with the Nasik administration. 22nd of March 2019, we started, 2020 rather, we started having this lockdown, and there were several cases of COVID patients, being rushed to the hospitals. There were several ambulances day in and day out. They used to run on the roads, blaring sirens. Now, this also has a very adverse effect on the patient who is sitting in the ambulance. उसका भी blood pressure बढ़ जाता है. I'm sure Dr. Patel will agree with this. सायरन जितना बजते जाएगा, उस पेशेंट का भी ब्लड प्रेशर वो बढ़ते जाता है. उसके साथ में जो रिलेटिव्स है उनका भी बढ़ते जाता है. सायरन का पर्पस ये है कि when the road is not clear, that time they used to it's used for clearing the road. रात में 2 बजे और 3 बजे, सुबह 4 बजे, जब रास्ते के ऊपर कोई भी गाड़ी नहीं है, तब भी एम्बुलेंस वाले जो है तो सायरन बजाते हुए जा रहे हैं. पूरी लोकेलिटी जो है तो उसको जगा कर जाते हैं. प्लस दे विल कंटिन्यू टिल द टाइम दे आर रीचिंग द हॉस्पिटल. Mr. Suraj Mandre, he is the collector of Nasik, and I had a lengthy discussion with him. I said, कि sir, this is ridiculous, कि मतलब वैसे ही लॉकडाउन में सारी गाड़ियां they are off the road, no one is allowed on the roads. और तब भी ये अगर ये मतलब इन्हें कुछ आइसोलेटेड गाड़ी 5% 7% ट्रैफिक रोड के ऊपर है, उसमें भी अगर ये सायरन बजाते हुए जा रहा है, तो it is not serving anyone's purpose. He agreed with that, and he immediately issued an order banning all these ambulances from the use of sirens. So my take on this, अगर हमने कोशिश हमारी तरफ से अगर छोटी सी भी करे तो उसमें जरूर कामयाब होते हैं. That's why in the beginning I said कि I will do my bit. मैं जो कर सकता हूँ मैं वो करूँगा. सुफरान ने जो करना है वो सुफरान करे, प्रेरणा या सारिका या पूजा या फिर अविनाश या अपूर्वा, ये जो जो सब लोगों ने जो अपने अपने लेवल पे जो करना है, अगर हम अपने फैमिली को ही अगर एजुकेट कर दें, हमारे घर में 4 लोग हैं, 4 लोगों को भी अगर बोल दे कि भाई आप 4 कभी भी गाड़ी चलाएंगे तो हॉर्न नहीं बजाएंगे, दैट विल बी अ गुड बिगिनिंग आई सपोज. सुमेरा.
I have requested the Mumbai Police, who has partnered with us in the past, to again take up the campaign of Tell the Driver, starting with Mumbai Police drivers, who also honk constantly when they drive, to tell their own drivers not to honk. So the Mumbai Police and all of us in this webinar, maybe that will be a beginning, I hope.
Yes. I have one question. I'm a Mumbaiker. I'm based in Borivali. Very good points mentioned by Harish and Hussain and Dr. Altaf and Sumaira. One point is that we are seeing that these buses, they're doing a lot of honking in Borivali, where I stay close to National Park, because of the hub, the intercity hub. And we also see the issues of the metros being built and the road traffic, and people are honking. That's a known problem. But what about we requesting the government or the local government like the BMC to do on the infrastructure? Because what I see, there are parallel roads towards the Western Express Highway and towards Linking Road and SV Road, which can be which can be opened, or infrastructure can be made better. I guess Hussein can answer this. According to there are many roadblocks which can be opened, and we can have a better infrastructure, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct, Hussein?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot that can be done. Again, I will kind of reiterate what I was saying, that Mumbai has a really efficient rail system. It's overcrowded, it's overloaded, it runs beyond its capacity, which is all true. And therefore, what we need to be doing is really improving its capacity and making, for instance, small changes, like we still have a manual signaling system. You shift to an electronic signaling system, you can run more trains at, with a shorter interval between trains. That will increase capacity. You can add a few lines, you can do all of that. In addition to that, you can, as I mentioned, all the arterial roads in the city, Eastern Express Highway, Western Express Highway, JVLR, SCLR, all of these roads can have bus lanes. You see, if you see JVLR and SCLR, they are building metro lines there. And in fact, one lane of those roads are being taken over by metro columns. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, those, instead of building that bridge to run a metro, you could have easily made that line into a bus lane. It would have costed a minuscule fraction of what you're spending for the metros, and it would have moved more people per hour than the metro will do. So, I mean, it economically doesn't make sense. Transport planning wise, it doesn't make sense. In terms of sustainability, noise and traffic, it doesn't make sense, but we're still doing it. And I mean, after all, we also have to understand that this is these projects are not done because they make sense. They're done because they make money, after all. And money for the people who promote them. I also wanted to thank Mr. Harish for pointing out about the bicycles in the data that I showed. In fact, the chart that I was showing was about motorized trips, not the non-motorized ones. In fact, 52% of the trips in the city are non-motorized trips, walking and cycling. That's more than half. Then what the chart that I was showing was 48% of the rest of the trips, right? So if you go by that 52%, in fact, the most amount of money in the city should be spent for cycling and walking. Then you think about buses and trains, and then you think about four-wheelers and two-wheelers and the rest of it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Another question, I guess. Sumaira, how many more questions we can take?
think we can take 2 or 3, and then I would really like if Dr. Oak was able to have the last word as the said, but I'm not sure he's able to, unmute himself. So if you could maybe
Yeah.
questions and then we request Dr. Oak.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, this is Dr. Sarika. I'm a ENT surgeon in Gurgaon, and Sumaira, and I've been very inspired by Sumaira. And for the last 4 years, I've been doing a lot of programs, including doing global conventions for ENT surgeons across India and entire ENT community and the Indian Medical Association. We've been doing stuff on that. But I think 2 things. I mean, I've met Dr. Harshvardhan also, and he also is very keen to do something on noise. So like Dr. Harish ji said, first and foremost, we need to introduce and very urgently a chapter on noise pollution in early education from 5th standard onwards. Every year from 5th to 12th, there should be a big chapter on noise, so safe driving, driving without honking, and the ambient noise, including headphones, so that every child, by the time they pass out of school, by the time they're ready for a license, they should understand that honking is a very bad thing, and they should, at least the next generation we can create, who will be better drivers than the ones we are currently at. Secondly, I was wondering if anybody here has the power to influence the industry and ensure that the horn level currently in India allowed is 90 to 112 decibel. Can the horn at production be made from 60 to 75 decibel, so that when you honk also, that noise is not as loud as it, so that, because very difficult to change the mindset of 135 crore people. But if the at production, if the honking horn is not more than 65 decibel, the roads will become little less noisy. Because I feel there should be an urgency. We've been doing a lot of whatever we can at our level, but we need to do it at a pan India level, so that we actually see a reduction in ambient sounds in the next decade.
Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Sarika. You have been doing so much work in Delhi and taking it further into other places and other cities. I think we should all work together to have that happen. Thanks for your suggestions. We'll definitely connect.
What the doctor mentioned just now, I had tried doing that in Nasik. Now, I am not empowered to take action on those those manufacturers, who are manufacturing horns beyond the permissible decibel limits. That is the area of the legal and metrology department. That our state also has got that unit. And if you start corresponding with that unit, with your complaints, probably they will strike at the manufacturing stage itself. Avinash, can you unmute Dr. Oak, because I just spoke to him just now.
Yeah, he's unmuted. He's unmuted.
Just before that, Mr. Baijal, if I may ask you, that is it feasible for the police to start taking concerted action against honking in the way they do against helmets and seat belts? Is this possible?
Easily possible, Somalia.
Okay.
Easily possible.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Easily possible.
Which laws are to be applied, how it is to be done. I think you have shown that there are laws and they have been implemented in the past. And even in the last year, although you said there are only a few cases, there are cases, which means it can be done.
Yeah, that initiative has to come from them,
Right. Dr. Oak, welcome, Dr. Oak. I'm so happy to have you here. Can we have the last word from you?
Okay. I see that Bombay police have started honking and red signal. You honk more, then the signal keeps on keeping red. But that way the honking will increase. I would suggest, if it is possible, to follow the London police traffic signal, where any vehicle which is making noise is automatically picked up by a software and the person is fined. So nobody else has to suffer. Is it possible, Mr. Baijal?
It is possible, sir. It's a question of priorities, sir.
It should be high priority now, actually.
I just shared my experience about my son's, hearing loss with all the participants. I don't know when we are going to wake up from this deep slumber.
Sumera, Awaaz Foundation should take up this issue.
Sumera has been, the lone crusader in all this, she is, what you can say, the lone warrior. Durga bolo, Lakshmi Bai bolo, Jhansi ki, sare all warriors, combined into one, just one woman fight, Hats off to you, Sumera. Really proud of you. Really proud of you.
Thank you very much. That's a little embarrassing for me to hear.
No way.
How many people have supported, and all of them or many of them are here listening to this. And so I would like to say that, it's not me alone, for sure. It's not a one-woman thing at all. It's everybody here, including you. I'm Sarika, and of course, Dr. Oak, and, I can't even read through the whole list, so I'm not going to start listing people.
Yeah, but you're the driver.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to me, and listening to me go on and on about the same thing and taking it further, and for attending this webinar.
I want to remind all the participants about this Pepsi ad, Ye Dil Mange More. So these webinars, should be more frequent. Now we have around 100 participants in today's webinar. Maybe, if we can multiply this, then the percolation will be faster. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Baijal. Thank you, Dr. Patel. Thank you, Hussain. Thank you, Dr. Oak. Thank you, everybody here. And Mr. Baijal, I intend to have one a month now that I feel that maybe this can go. May not be on the same identical subject, but something or the other, so that we can keep ourselves informed and aware and participatory in a participatory way on environment and noise and all those other things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumera. Thank you all. Bye.